do at the beginning of the year is to set some goals, some resolutions, New Year resolutions, to improve your life in one way or another. And since this is a wellness-based show, I'm going to focus on some resolutions that you might want to make in terms of your own wellness habits, and how you might keep them. So often the fact is that most people, from studies on this, situation about people who make resolutions, only about 9% of people who make these resolutions felt that they were successful in achieving their goals. And quite frankly, by the end of January, many people who have made these resolutions have abandoned them and gone back to their old ways. So we want to help you, as a listener to this show, find a way to actually have some success in changing your behaviors the way you want to change them. Sometimes it really is simply a matter of allowing yourself to try, fail, and try again. Sometimes it has to do with encouraging or feeling good about each step that you make. But whatever it is, the best approach is to go without judgment. So some helpful tips as far as wellness behaviors are concerned, and resolutions and keeping them. When you choose a goal within the wellness category, you need to be specific. The topic of wellness is pretty broad. Okay, so a New Year's resolution like, I'm going to improve my wellness behaviors, is way too broad. You don't even know what that quite entails. You have an idea, but there's many different aspects of that that you may want to change. I would recommend focusing on one. Let's say you want to increase, improve, or even begin a meditative practice in your daily life. You want to include meditation in your daily routine, but somehow you haven't been able to do so. Maybe that's a goal. Or you decide you want to bring your cholesterol levels down, so you focus on that. You find all the information you can about what it takes to do that. Talk to your doctor. Find ways to do it that you can appreciate, or you feel you can do. The doability factor is what really is essential. It has to be something that you can, realistically achieve. And one thing can then lead to another. Once you have success in one small goal, you can go on to others. And pretty soon, you're having more and more success, and you're able to move forward. So maybe you want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. Or maybe you want to begin a yoga practice, or start running on a regular basis. Don't try to do all of those at the same time. Pick one and focus on it. And small goals are the best at boosting your self-belief. If you take on too much, well, that can lead to failure. Then you want to plan. If you're going to set a goal, you also want to plan on how you might achieve it. And if it's going to involve major behavior change or some level of discomfort, you should plan for that. Let's say you want to stop smoking. Very difficult, one of the most difficult things to do. Or you want to stop drinking. You've got to give yourself time to do that, and you have to think of a strategy. Write down a detailed plan and start with the small steps. If you're looking to lose weight, for instance, you want to lose 10 pounds, start by, changing your diet, maybe dropping a pound or two in a couple of months. But don't try to do it all at once. You might want to also, if this is a goal that you've tried to reach before and failed, you might also want to look back and see what it was that made you feel you failed or stopped you from achieving the goal that you wanted to achieve. And see if there's things you can tweak. If it's an unhealthy habit you're trying to change, like smoking, as I said, those are habits that you've had for a long time. And so changing them is not going to happen overnight. What I did when I stopped smoking is I went through a process of becoming aware of my triggers. What triggered me to get a cigarette? What made that cigarette crave happen? And I looked at the pattern of things when I would go for a smoke. What situations would trigger that? What kinds of thoughts would trigger that? And once I became aware of that, I could see the pattern. I could see also how often I would go for a cigarette. Once I became aware of that pattern, then I changed the pattern. I threw it up in the air. I made it. I broke the pattern, basically. The information that really helped me on that was I knew, according to doctors' research, that a cigarette craving only lasts for 90 seconds. So when I found myself having those cravings, instead of reaching automatically for the cigarette, I would wait at least 90 seconds. And then I would extend that time that I waited. At first it was just like the 90 seconds. Then I was able to go for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Then I might have a craving and I wouldn't go for the cigarette for an hour afterwards. And then that craving wasn't there anymore. And I began to not be motivated by cravings. And at that point, it became easier to not have the cigarette at all. That was my process with it, but it took a long time. And there were failures along the way. So don't let the small failures bring you down. Continue on. If you feel that you're losing your motivation, you just look back at what it was that you wanted to get out of this goal. And if you change your mind about it, well, there's nothing wrong with that. But you'll want to make sure that it's not some sort of intellectual mind game you're playing with yourself because you don't want to do it anymore. On the other hand, you don't want to beat yourself up about it anyway either. So, all right, those are some tips about how to keep your wellness resolutions. And in the future podcasts over the next couple of weeks, we'll look at specific topics in wellness that seem to be quite popular, that people are trying to bring into their lives in the new year. Next week we will start with looking at your weight, and then we will talk about meditation and other aspects. So we'll look at each aspect and see if we can give you some tips on all of those. All right, now time to move on to our predictions. Now, last week we talked about short-term predictions for this year. And so just to review those, in case you missed them, we've got a number of things coming up that are pretty surefire and pretty impressive. One thing, let's talk about technology first. 5G technology is here, and it will be available for use in laptops and probably cell phones as well this year in 2019. So what is 5G? So basically it means fifth generation of mobile communication networks. When cell phones became more widespread, you had the first generation, which was a network of communication that wasn't very good. There was very little you could do with 1G and 2G other than make a phone call, and often those dropped out. Okay, then the technology improved. We went to 3G. So now you could move more data. You could not only make a phone call, you could send pictures, and you could text and send more information. So it's really about broadband and broadening the amount of information you can send. We're up to 4G now. That is pretty commonplace now. Most people have been, upgrading their cell phones and whatnot for 4G wireless technology. And that is, again, bigger amounts of information can be moved. So now you can text longer, you can send videos over 4G, and 5G is going to be even bigger. And basically what 5G is about is getting ready for what's known as the Internet of Things, which we've talked about too. And I believe in 2019 we will see an increase in this Internet of Things. The Internet of Things is everything in your household or around you is connected to the Internet. You can turn on lights and turn off lights and do your laundry or answer your emails or phones. Everything is connected to the Internet. That's basically what the Internet of Things means and what it's moving towards, for better or worse. So we'll see more strides towards that. We already have, things like Alexa and Siri that allow us to do all kinds of things just by asking. So that's not a big surprise. We are going to see self-driving cars, particularly by General Motors. They're going to become available for ride-sharing services, and maybe a competitor with things like Uber. We're going to see an electric motorcycle by Harley Davidson. They've been working on that for a while. SpaceX will